The Legend of Zelda is one of the most beloved franchises in gaming history, but underneath all the heroism, there are fan theories so disturbing they'll make you look at Hyrule completely differently. Today, I'm breaking down the most terrifying ones, starting with a character you thought was perfectly fine: Malon's secret tragedy. Malon seems like one of the happiest characters in Ocarina of Time. She's cheerful, she sings, she loves horses. Wholesome stuff. But here's the thing: Malon can be found working at Lon Lon Ranch during nearly every hour of the game's day-night cycle. She feeds the animals, manages operations, handles everything, while her father Talon just sleeps through the entire game. She's running that ranch alone as a child, and her dialogue isn't about the ranch, it's about leaving. She fantasizes about what's beyond the fences. That's not contentment, that's a coping mechanism. But here's where it gets worse. Across every timeline outcome in the Zelda franchise, Malon's fate is confinement. She either stays locked into ranch life forever, or dissolves into a supportive spouse role. She never leaves. The game frames her situation as cozy and romantic, when it's actually quiet, desperation with a smile painted over it. And if that's hiding behind the most innocent character in Hyrule, wait until you hear what the game did to Link's childhood pet. Volvagia was Link's childhood pet. The Fire Temple boss in Ocarina of Time has zero backstory. The game never explains where Volvagia came from, or how a massive fire dragon just appeared inside a mountain one day. Boss shows up, you kill it, you move on. But players started looking closer, and what they found is genuinely sickening. There's a 7-year gap between child Link and adult Link. The theory suggests that during those missing years, young Link befriended a small dragon, possibly even raised it. Then Ganondorf corrupted the creature, twisted it into something monstrous, and unleashed it on Death Mountain. And the evidence isn't just timeline math. Watch Volvagia's combat behavior. Every other boss in Ocarina of Time fights with purpose. Volvagia thrashes erratically, almost like it's in pain rather than attacking. It burrows away from Link repeatedly, as if torn between aggression and recognition. So the game hands you a hammer, plays triumphant music, and celebrates you for beating a creature to death that might have once curled up next to you as a kid. You're not slaying a monster. You're putting down something that trusted you. But if you think killing a potential childhood friend is dark, wait until you hear what's lurking underneath the Shadow Temple, the true identity of Dead Hand. Dead Hand shouldn't exist. Not in a Zelda game, not in any game rated for children, and definitely not in the way it's designed. Because if you actually look at what this thing is, it's not a monster, it's people. Dead Hand appears in both the bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple, two locations that are basically mass graves. The walls are stained with what looks suspiciously like blood. There are rooms that serve zero purpose unless that purpose was torture. And lurking beneath all this is a creature that announces itself with pale, disembodied hands rising from the ground to grab you, before a bloated central body emerges from the earth, dragging itself towards you with a gaping mouth ready to bite down. Here's what makes it worse. The lens of truth, an item designed to reveal illusions and hidden objects, doesn't change Dead Hand's appearance at all. What you're looking at is exactly what's there. The theory is simple and horrible. Dead Hand isn't a singular creature. It's an amalgamation of murdered victims, fused together into one composite nightmare. Every hand reaching from the ground belonged to someone. That central body is what's left when you stitch enough of them together. The Shadow Temple and the well don't just contain the dead, they animate them. And that raises a question Hyrule really doesn't want you asking. Who built these places, and who filled them? But if you think the implications of one temple are disturbing, wait until you hear what might be going on with Link himself. Link is dead. You've heard this one before. Everyone has. But most people treat it like a fun what if, and move on without actually sitting with what it means. The Purgatory theory proposes that Link dies near the beginning of Ocarina of Time, and everything after that point is a constructed afterlife. A dying mind's last, desperate attempt to make sense of itself. And here's the thing, the game keeps handing you evidence. Link gets sealed away for 7 years and wakes up in an adult body he never actually lived in. Zero life experience, no memories, nothing. He just opens his eyes in a ruined world, wearing a body that isn't his. Saria looks exactly the same despite 7 years supposedly passing. The Triforce, the one thing Link is fighting toward the entire game, remains permanently out of reach. You fight through every dungeon, defeat every boss, save every sage, and the reward you were promised never arrives. In Purgatory, you can never actually win. That's the detail that makes this theory genuinely cruel. If Link is dead, then every friendship he forms is with someone who doesn't exist. Every sacrifice saves nobody. Every victory is hollow. Saria, Zelda, the Gorons, all projections of a dying child's mind or souls trapped in the same liminal space. Neither option is comforting, but if you think one dead hero is unsettling, wait until you hear what the Sheikah might actually be. The Sheikah and the Interlopers. The Sheikah have red eyes. The Interlopers have red eyes. The Sheikah use shadow magic. The Interlopers use shadow magic. The Shaika exist on the edges of Hyrulean society, feared and revered in equal measure. The interlopers were literally banished to the edges of reality itself. At a certain point, this stops being a coincidence. Here's the thing. The interlopers tried to seize the Triforce, got cursed by the golden goddesses for their trouble, and were sealed away in the Twilight Realm, gone, erased from history. And then, immediately after in the timeline, the Shaika just appear out of nowhere as loyal servants to the royal family. No origin story, no explanation for where they came from. Just hello, we live in your shadow now. Please don't ask questions. If this theory holds, every single Shaika across the entire timeline is carrying inherited punishment for crimes their ancestors committed. They don't know why they're drawn to the darkness. They don't know why Hyrulean society keeps them at arm's length, even while relying on them completely. They just accept it. Their willingness to live as literal shadows, to erase their own identities in service of the throne, starts looking less like loyalty and more like generational self-hatred, so deeply internalized, they mistook it for devotion. They're not protectors. They're prisoners who forgot the walls exist. But if inherited punishment across an entire bloodline sounds horrifying, wait until you hear what the goddesses did to an entire civilization on purpose. The Great Flood was genocide. Here's the thing about Wind Waker that nobody wants to say out loud. The Great Flood didn't just happen, it was ordered. The official story is that the goddesses submerged Hyrule to stop Ganon after the hero failed to appear. Sounds almost noble when you phrase it like that, but let me explain what that actually means. An entire civilization was drowned because the goddesses decided the cleanest solution was to bury everything under an ocean. Some people fled to the mountaintops, the ones lucky enough to reach high ground in time. Everyone else, gone, no warning system, no evacuation plan, just water. And before you tell yourself, well, maybe it was a last resort, consider this. They sealed Ganon before. They've intervened directly before. The goddesses have the power to target specific threats, and they've demonstrated it. But instead of doing that again, they chose the option that took an entire kingdom down with it. The flood came because Ganon was resurging, and no hero appeared to stop him. The goddesses looked at a kingdom with zero champion, and decided it was easier to drown the whole thing than to wait. Not relocate the people, not empower a new hero, just bury Hyrule under the ocean, and let whoever survived figure it out. That's not divine mercy. That's cutting your losses with a body count. The scariest part isn't that they did it. It's that everyone in Wind Waker's world still worships them afterward, which is, not ideal. But if divine flooding wasn't dark enough for you, wait until you hear what happened to the hero who actually saved Hyrule, and the curse that followed him into death. The hero's shade, the most trusted character in Twilight Princess, might be the most dangerous thing in the entire game. The hero's shade presents itself as the ghost of the Ocarina of Time Link, appearing to teach you combat techniques throughout your journey. Sounds wholesome. But here's where it gets complicated. The shade teaches hidden skills, powerful finishing moves that go far beyond anything you'd learn naturally. A ghost that died with deep regrets about never passing on its knowledge, now appearing to a stranger across timelines to hand over lethal combat techniques. That's not closure, that's obsession. Something kept this spirit anchored to the world for centuries, and you're just supposed to trust its motivations are pure. It gets worse. The shade doesn't just appear out of thin air. It manifests as a golden wolf tied to specific howling stones scattered across Hyrule. It embedded itself into the landscape, built a recruitment pipeline. Its dialogue is soaked in regret and bitterness about being forgotten, about never being recognized as a hero. That's not benevolent teacher energy. That's the energy of something that needs you to succeed for its own sake. So the theory asks a simple question. What if the hero's shade is a spirit so consumed by failure that it's using you as a vessel for unfinished business, teaching you skills that feel like empowerment but function as a dead man's desperate bid for legacy? By the time you consider the possibility, you've already accepted every technique, every sword stance, every finishing blow, all from a stranger you never verified. But if one dead mentor makes your skin crawl, wait until you hear what an entire civilization was doing to stay in power. The Zonai performed human sacrifice. Every Zonai device you strap to a raft or glue to a shield in Tears of the Kingdom runs on something. Zonai charges and Link's own energy cell, to be specific. But the lore behind that power source raises questions nobody wants to ask. Here's what we know. The Zonai possess technology so advanced, it makes every other civilization in Hyrule look like they were banging rocks together. Their devices hover, generate thrust, produce energy, and operate on a resource system with zero clear origin. Where do Zonai charges actually come from? What were they before Link started finding them scattered across the landscape like ancient batteries in a junk drawer? Now look at the ruins. Certain Zonai structures feature ceremonial architecture designed to funnel large groups into centralized locations. Not living quarters, not marketplaces, ritual spaces, the kind of layout you build when ceremony matters more than comfort. But here's where it gets dark. The Zonai didn't fall to war or natural disaster. They faded over thousands of years until only Rauru and Mineru remained, an entire civilization with god-tier technology, slowly dwindling to 2 survivors with zero explanation. Some fans theorize the energy had to come from somewhere, and that somewhere might have been people. Nothing in the game confirms this, but every Zonai charge link feeds into a wooden plank contraption. Every device cheerfully humming away potentially represents something far darker than a convenient gameplay mechanic. Players spent hundreds of hours building goofy contraptions and never thought twice about what might be powering them. A civilization that slowly consumed itself until almost nothing remained, which is, not ideal. But if the idea of corrupted purpose disturbs you, wait until you hear what might have happened to the sages. The blights are corrupted sages. Here's something that should make your skin crawl. The blights in Breath of the Wild aren't just random monsters Ganon cooked up. Look at them closely. Each one has a specific elemental affinity: fire, water, wind, thunder. Now think about the champions they replaced: Daruk, Mifa, Revali, Urbosa, each one tied to those exact same elements. Each blight is a twisted mirror of the champion it killed. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. The theory suggests these creatures aren't generic monsters but deliberate inversions, entities shaped specifically to counter and replace the protectors of Hyrule, not just killing the champions, but mocking them, taking their divine beasts, squatting in their seats of power, wielding corrupted versions of their elemental strengths. Everything the champions represented got flipped inside out, and the Zelda series has a long history of corruption as a weapon. Ganon doesn't just destroy, he takes what's good and twists it into something horrible. That's his entire playbook across multiple games. But here's the part that genuinely disturbs people. Is there some fragment of the original champions still echoed inside the blights? Are these things built from the spiritual residue of the heroes they murdered, forced to guard the very machines that were supposed to save Hyrule? Because that's not just killing someone. That's not just theft. That's something worse. It's turning a protector into a prison warden for their own legacy, wearing their power like a skin suit. And if you think corrupted protectors are unsettling, wait until you meet someone who might not even be human at all. The Happy Mask Salesman. Here's a character the game never once tells you to be afraid of, and that's exactly what makes him the scariest thing in the entire franchise. The Happy Mask Salesman appears in Ocarina of Time. He appears in Majora's Mask. He runs a shop in one game and becomes the catalyst for the apocalypse in the next. Same face, same smile. That smile never changes. Not when the moon is falling, not when the world is ending, not once. His masks aren't products, they're sentient. They possess supernatural properties that no craftsman could manufacture. He knows where Link is at all times regardless of distance or dimension. He possesses knowledge about artifacts of world-ending power and treats them with the same casual energy as someone misplacing their car keys. Skull Kid stole Majora's mask directly from him, a mask that can crash the moon into the earth, and his reaction was politely asking a child to go get it back. Oh dear, someone seems to have stolen my apocalypse. Could you fetch it for me? The theory is simple and deeply uncomfortable. The Happy Mask Salesman isn't human. He's a cosmic entity, wearing a stolen body like a suit, using commerce as camouflage to move through civilizations without anyone raising an alarm. His friendliness isn't personality, it's predatory mimicry. The same way an anglerfish dangles a little light to draw prey closer. He looks human. He acts human, but nothing about him holds up under scrutiny. His knowledge is impossible, and his smile is the uncanny valley given a backpack full of cursed artifacts. But if you think a body-snatching deity in a merchant costume is unsettling, wait until you hear what that giant face in the sky actually is. The moon is a sentient parasite. Let's talk about the thing in the sky with a face, because that's not normal. Celestial bodies don't have faces. They don't grimace, they don't grow, and they definitely don't look at you like they're deciding what you taste like. The moon in Majora's Mask isn't a weapon. It's not a projectile Skull Kid launched at the Earth. Here's the thing, it operates completely independently. The 3-day cycle continues whether Link does anything or not. He can stand perfectly still in Clocktown, play 0 songs, solve 0 problems, and the moon still crashes on schedule, every single time, with mechanical precision, almost like it's hungry on a timer. That's not a weapon, that's a feeding schedule. The face sells it. A natural celestial body doesn't develop a grotesque expression of anguished hunger. That face suggests consciousness, intentionality, something behind those hollow eyes that wants. And the Skull Kid, the supposed villain of the entire game, openly admits he doesn't understand what's controlling him. The apparent antagonist is a puppet, which means the thing pulling the strings is the moon itself, a cosmic parasite for which an entire world exists as a meal. Now extend that logic for a second. If one moon in one Zelda game is a sentient predator, what about every other celestial body across every other game? What about the sky over Hyrule? What about the stars the ceiling might be watching? But if the moon being alive is terrifying, the next theory makes you question whether the entire world it's crashing into even exists in the first place. Termina is a mental manifestation. This is the one that breaks everything. The theory is simple. Termina isn't real. It's not an alternate dimension, not a parallel world, not some pocket universe created by Majora's power. It's a construct, a hallucination built by the fracturing mind of a child who never made it out of the lost woods, and the evidence is harder to dismiss than you'd think. Start with the structure. The 3-day cycle doesn't function like time. It functions like repetitive trauma processing, the same events playing out on loop because the mind experiencing them cannot move forward. Every NPC in Termina follows identical behavioral scripts across every cycle, not reacting to changing circumstances, not adapting, just executing predetermined patterns like projections rather than autonomous beings. Some of them display knowledge of events they shouldn't know about. Others repeat conversations word for word regardless of what Link has done. They don't behave like people. They behave like memories. Then there's the Skull Kid, supposedly the main antagonist, yet he lacks any genuine motivation beyond spreading chaos and misery. No goal, no endgame, no logic. He functions less like an independent villain and more like a manifestation of self-destructive impulses, the part of a breaking mind that wants everything to collapse. But here's where it gets devastating. If Termina is a hallucination, then nothing Link does in the entire game is real. Every relationship he forms, every person he saves, every sacrifice he makes, all of it happens inside the mind of a dying child. The triumphant moments become heartbreaking. The victories become delusions. Link never saved anyone because there was never anyone to save. And the final implication is the one nobody wants to sit with. If one world in this franchise can be completely fabricated, how do you trust any of them? If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.